Welcome back to another week of calisthenics workouts. Hi, I'm Jade if you're new here. Each week I share exactly how I structure my calisthenics training, the workouts, the progressions, and how I balance recovery. I love all types of movement, flexing my muscles, improving my mobility. I consider myself a hybrid athlete who balances calisthenics strength training with running. So if you're looking for ideas or inspiration for your own routine, then stick around. The calisthenics ladders always intimidate me, but on this day the sun was shining and I had moved my indoor gym workout to a calisthenics park outside. I looked at that ladder and I thought, you know what, today you're gonna be my Okay, so maybe it was gonna take some work. Now, I had tried to do human flags before. I can do a vertical human flag quite easily, and I have previous videos where I discuss the technique of how I get upside down like this. I feel quite comfortable here, but I want to take it further to progress into learning a full human flag. At the moment, I just fall. Now, what I found practicing these attempts at some type of regression in doing the human flag is that it's not all about strength. Previously, I had seen this skill done and it looks super impressive when someone can hold a nice horizontal human flag, but I've learned that it was way more about technique. I found there was a lot of strain on my lower elbow. You can see perhaps it's because I have hyperextension on my elbow. It does get quite painful at times. This makes me think that it's a combination of two main things. My body is not in the correct position currently to get a stable flag and learn to gather more strength in that area, but also I don't really do this move. My body and my joints are thinking, what the hell is happening? So with those two things in mind, I know I have to be a lot more patient, and I also need to probably find more tutorials online to help me get my body in the correct position. When you're upside down or doing anything with inversions, you can feel like you have very little control of your body. And even if someone's telling you, move your hips to the right, lower your bum, etc., like many people do when you train calisthenics together, it can seem as if you can't tell your right and your left apart and you get completely disoriented. I was quite proud of this one. My knee is not leaning on the ladder, by the way, just to let you know it's the angle, but you can see I really try to hold it towards the end.
That's how you break your elbows.
It was at this point I realised that I had to hold some bend in that lower elbow, or my hyperflexion on the lower arm was really going to hurt whenever I extended my leg more. I felt what was stopping me from holding the position lower was not in fact my strength, but all the pressure that was going through that lower elbow. You can see it almost wants to snap. I can pull back my leg and almost do reps like this and go from a vertical human flag way into the diagonal. So it's not a strength thing at the moment, it's more getting the position right to enable my body and elbow to cope with the load. After 20 minutes of human flag work, I then went to what I knew, which was my Parallette Handstands, where I feel comfy. Did a few long 20 to 30 second holds. I think I got one 40-second hold actually, and felt good. It felt easy, it felt comfortable, so I had to challenge myself in a certain way. I then did a few tuck holds. Now, by looking at me, you wouldn't think they were tuck holds because I have to go super slowly to ensure that I still have that balance, but I can eventually bend my knees. The goal is obviously to do a tuck hold, so have my knees where my chest is. You can see how far I am. And then I just tend to drop. This was my best attempt. Also bear in mind this is my first ever attempt. I know I need to open my shoulders and I know I need to push my hips back so that I don't lose the balance as my knees go down, because I obviously lose it the more my knees go down because the weight distribution goes there. So watch this space. I then end my lovely outdoors sunshiny session with some animal movement and flows. These involve mini type of handstand cartwheels, some bridge work as you can see, flexing the spine, moving my legs up and down in different planes and motions, and giving the whole body a nice complete stretch. Yes, you can look a bit weird. Yes, you probably don't want to wear your best gym wear because it'll get dirty, but this is what fun is about. This is how we feel good moving. It opens up the pelvis as well, being on all fours. This may look like child's play, but walking around on all fours is surprisingly taxing on the body. And believe it or not, I sweated the most during this end of my session little playtime, as opposed to when I was doing the handstands or human flag work. Go figure. Sometimes I feel like making my quick and easy sandwiches at home, and sometimes I feel like spending an extortionate amount of money for a sandwich that's definitely not worth it from an overpriced chain like Gale's. Both yummy. I tend to break up my calisthenics sessions with a run, so I train one day calisthenics and then day 2 I'll go for a run. I also have one complete rest day without any calisthenics or running, and this is the day I tend to edit my YouTube videos actually. This means I usually get 3 or 4 calisthenics sessions in per week. But this week I only got 2 because life happens, and that's okay because we can always adapt. So in this workout, this was my second calisthenics session of the week. I ended up working out a little bit longer, but not because I had to, because I was punishing myself from not having done the third session of the week, but simply because I wanted to, and I had lots of energy from having had more rest days than usual. So I ended up doing an extra half an hour, and I think it was a 2-hour session, and a brilliant one at that. If you've watched some of my previous videos, you know I'm a big fan of the straight bar dip and have been doing them for quite a while. So I've now moved on to doing them weighted. Here I've got a 2.5 kilogram plate and a 1.25 kilogram plate. So that's 3.75 kilograms, quick maths, A. And I managed to film all 3 of my sets. So you can watch me do the same thing 3 times. I do 6 to 8 single bar dips with this weight. I always keep in how I get over the bar because I amuse myself. And you can see I'm really trying to maintain my cadence with each rep, as well as tucking in my elbows. That's super important with straight bar dips, and attempting to keep my legs straight. Keeping your legs straight isn't the most important thing, but as I get stronger, I want my form to be better. So I'm adding a little bit of weight, but I'm also trying to clean up the exercise and ensure that these reps look consistently clean throughout the first few and the last few. I do end up bending my legs, okay, I know, so I stop myself straight away. Sometimes I do these holds at the end of my reps, and they are fantastic for the muscle up that I'm attempting to get. I hold at the most difficult part of the pull-up. I don't know what you'd call this position, a high pull or an extremely low single bar dip, not sure. But this is the best way to get stronger at your weakest area. After a few minutes of rest, I like to do a few toes to bar exercises because I see them almost like a warm-up to the next thing I'm going to do. They just ensure that all my abs are working nicely and that I can get consistently good holds. So again, I put on my weight belt with the same weight, 3.75 kilograms, just keeping it consistent while I've got the plates near me. And this next exercise may look like the same thing. So again, I get myself over the bar. But this time I'm going straight into a hold, again at the hardest part. So I can hold for a little bit longer and with better form without doing the straight bar dips at the beginning. And you can see here, once I start fatiguing a little bit, then I'll allow myself to drop lower and lower. And I'm doing these holds for roughly 15 seconds. I do about 6 sets of these, with half of those being a hold at the hardest part of that high pull-up, and the other half being very slow negative muscle-ups. I only take about 20 seconds or 30 seconds between each of these 6 sets, and the reason being is because not only am I working on my strength in this hardest position, in the high pull-up, but I also want to work on my endurance of being able to hold it with this almost overhand grip, also known as the false grip. It's helping to strengthen the forearms, and I also do supplementary physio exercises to strengthen my forearms to ensure that I don't get tennis elbow again. Okay, exercise number 3 is a variation of the ice cream maker calisthenics exercise. So you go straight into a pull-up, into a tuck, and then you extend your legs up and try and hold that position. Ideally, I should have extended my elbows too so that my arms are straight, but it's super difficult for me at the moment. So you can see I tuck and I'm trying to extend my arms as much as I can when I extend my legs, but it is hard. So you alternatively go from a tuck to an extended leg position. I can only do about 2 reps, maybe 3. and they're not very good because when I do extend the arm like I have here, I'm way too tucked with my bum up. If I try and lower my bum so that it's in line with my shoulders, then I can't seem to extend my arms, and that's just because I don't have the strength yet. After a few more minutes rest, I go straight into my next exercise, which are for the abs, and I do these on a mat on the floor. So essentially you can do them at home or anywhere that you can lie down. I do a superset of 3 sets of these 15 tuck-ups. Don't worry, I'm not going to make you watch me do all 3 sets of these 15, but this is just to give you a bit of an idea of how it works. Core is braced for minimal rocking. Remember that your legs or your feet should never touch the floor. And that's the first exercise of the superset. The next one that I do for abs would be 6 reps of these flutter kicks. They are so difficult for me. I really do feel the butterflies as my legs go down. And as you can see, you should keep your legs together, and again, never place your feet on the ground. Keep those legs as straight as you can and as low to the ground as you can, with the feet never actually touching before you raise them again. We talk a lot about pumps, but no one really talks about having an ab pump, and this will definitely give you an ab pump. I mean, I love looking in the mirror after I've completed this brutal superset. Now, I'd normally call it a day here, but I just had so much energy on this day and wanted to keep training and exploring, and I did. The parallettes came out, and the first thing I always do when I do parallette handstands are my longest holds. So I don't care how ugly the handstand looks, what position my legs are, I just want to try and hold the handstand for as long as I can. Here is a nice 25-second one. I did 3 or 4 of these before doing a few handstands where I try different positions. So this was me attempting a scorpion handstand, but I am so stiff. Look how straight my back is. That needs a lot of work. I tend to do 20 to 30 minutes of parallette handstands with endurance holds at the beginning and then combinations of different handstand positions. So in this one, I'm doing split legs into a straight handstand and then a diamond shape, I think, if you can call it that. The point of being able to flow between different positions is to ensure that I have complete control and balance on the handstand parallettes, and also they look cool. At the end of my session, I'm feeling inspired, but quite tired. So this probably wasn't the best time to try and do a new skill, but I attempted a back tuck lever. So here I'm quite rounded. I've never done this before, so I'm just experimenting, and I wanted to include that video to show you that we don't all know how to get in the correct positions at the first time. I love filming myself at the gym, not just so that I can show my clips on YouTube, but also for the progress of my own skills. It's because I videoed myself and I realized I was hunched that I managed to straighten my back, as you can see now. The videos allow me to iterate by tweaking and changing little things, because as much as calisthenics is about strength, a lot of the skills are simply learning how to navigate your body and orientating yourself into these correct positions. So here you can see I'm very straight. I'm comfortable here, so I try dropping my knees a little bit, but so does my bum, and I lose it. I really love someone who can work as my eyes when learning a new static hold and tell me if my bum is too high or low. Sounds silly, but it makes such a difference. And that was my week. The 2 long calisthenics sessions that you saw, and then a couple of runs mixed in on the days that I wasn't strength training. If you want to see a typical week of mine when everything does go to plan, then watch this video next. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you next time. Ciao!